Welcome back, Wanderers. Ellie here. Nice to see you. There's been a study coming out of Uganda. It relates to chimpanzees. I'm on a bit of a monkey slash chimpanzee-ish kind of kick at the moment. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I am. And I know they're not the same thing, but you know what? Close enough. There's going to be a monkey meme at the end of this show. Just giving you fair warning. This study in Uganda that was published recently, it actually showed that chimpanzees change their mind more often than people do. They're much more fluid in their decision making. And that's kind of weird because changing your mind is seen to be something that makes you kind of complicated. If you're always flip-flopping, it's probably because you're a complicated person who can't make up their mind. At least that's what's been drummed into us. But actually, what I think I'll be able to show you in today's episode is that changing your mind is really more about being flexible. And maybe it's even a sign of having a sophisticated level of rationale. Humans are probably going to cling to their outdated ideas and their opinions and things and call it rationale, when in fact it might even be the opposite, especially if what we're clinging to has stopped serving us a long time ago. So a bit about this study. The scientists who studied the chimpanzees did so at a sanctuary in Uganda. And what they did was they presented the chimpanzees with two options, food-related options. One of them was a box with food that they could see, and the other one was a box where they could only hear the food. And obviously the very first thing that the chimpanzees did was they would go for what was visual that they could see. But when that failed and they realized that there was another option, they immediately went to the other option. They didn't keep hammering away trying to get the thing that they had been unsuccessful with the first time. And what that demonstrated in the controlled environment that the scientists used was that the chimpanzees were very willing and very fluid, but very willing to change their mind straight away if something failed the first time. They say that this demonstrated that chimpanzees have a pretty sophisticated level of rationale, which kind of hurts a bit because rationale is something that sets humans apart from animals, isn't it? That's what we're always being told, that being human makes us superior to the rest of the animal kingdom because we have this element of rationale that they don't. But as it happens, humans aren't instantly as rational as some of these other animals. In contrast to the chimpanzees, humans stick to our first decision. We make a decision and we stick to it, even if it turns out to be a bad one, because we don't want to look inconsistent. We don't want to admit that we're wrong. And that makes us very complicated creatures. It's not that we change our minds. It's that we try not to change our minds or that we're afraid to change our minds. And that's what makes us complicated. And it complicates our lives. This happens a lot, especially as we reach adulthood and we get trapped into this rigid kind of thinking pattern. Not everyone, but many of us do. It's very difficult to overcome. The study that took place found that chimpanzees adapt very fluidly and very quickly. They shift their mindset very easily. As soon as that first choice has failed, they go looking for the other choice. They just abandon it and they move on. And I think one of the reasons why humans have become so rigid is because we're conditioned that way. I'm pretty sure that most people watching will remember having been told, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. We've got a plan, just stick to the original plan, that kind of thing. Or don't flip-flop, or, we're going to judge this person because they're a flip-flopper, that kind of thing. Once we're invested in something also, an idea or a method or a way of living, we just keep hammering away at it. Like seeing this bit of food in a box and trying to get to it, but we can't, but we keep trying and we keep trying, but we can't. We're kind of doing the exact opposite of what the chimpanzees do. But that's because we've already invested in it. We started hammering at it and we're just going to keep forcing it until we finally get it. Now, I've done episodes in the past where I've talked about how the universe always wins. And I even, have t-shirts that I just love the phrase because it rings so true. And I've talked about my personal life where I have gone down the path of doing what was expected of me, and I've been quite successful at it, and I've worked in jobs that I hated that I was very good at, and they taught me lots of skills, but I really never felt like they belonged, that I belonged in those jobs. And I always encountered resistance. There was also always some kind of resistance. And I think it's because the universe was saying to me, this is not right for me. But I kept hammering away and hammering away and hammering away. As soon as I stopped doing that, I ended up here and everything changed. And it continues to change the more I become myself and the more I immerse myself in the truth of who I am, the more the universe just gives way and says, yeah, well, that's me kind of finally, when I'm just about to turn 60, getting to the point where I've become the chimpanzee. There are people who spend their entire lives suffering and struggling and beating their head against the wall, trying to accomplish something that is hidden in a box that will never, ever be theirs. When we could all just be chimpanzees and just change and do something else and watch the universe open up and let it happen. Here are some obvious examples. Many of us continue to work in a job that we hate. I have a saying that I've always had, and I don't know where it comes from, and it probably should be accredited to someone famous somewhere. But I've always thought to myself, people who work hard should work for themselves. Because why would you work hard for someone else? If you work hard, work for yourself, and you will thrive. It's just about finding that way. So that's one example. There's also this idea of staying in a bad relationship or a loveless relationship or even an abusive relationship. And I think that it is something that affects more people than we like to admit. People are in relationships that they really don't want to be in anymore, but the alternative is a bit scary and uncertain, and the idea of walking into the unknown is daunting. We might even, in another example, be hanging on to an outdated belief. And we do that even though it doesn't really work for us, because changing our mind means we've wasted our time doing something that probably was wrong and didn't really serve us in the way that we hoped that it would. Something very, very different to what you expect me to say. We may have said something that we regret to another person, something that's hurt them, but we've never gone back to apologize because, we don't want to lose face or something like that. But what it means is that we end up living a life where we never regain the friendship. We never regain that relationship. This one happens a lot, and that's because we're so rigid as a race sometimes that we never go back to fix the mistake that we made. We never change our mind and just put all of those fear elements and everything aside and go back and just say, oh, I was wrong. Can I get back into this friendship, please? Or something like that. It's not actually our fault that this is who we are. It's because we're always under pressure to remain steady in our convictions and never to lose face, even if it means that we end up living our lives in quiet, resentful regret. One of the things that I love about this job that I do now, and I've discovered this very early on, is that as soon as I say things out loud here on this channel, suddenly it becomes really obvious what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Never changing our minds seriously doesn't make any sense. I have a really good monkey meme. Well, I don't know if it's a good one, but I have a monkey meme because I love a good monkey meme. And I've decided that I might do monkey memes from now on, just because. And so here's the one that I've done for today. Change your mind, save your soul, be the monkey. And yes, I know monkeys are not chimps. Okay. On this channel, we love authenticity. And authenticity is the key to real spiritual growth and enlightenment. Spiritual growth is all about being adaptable and letting go of rigid roles and our rigid sense of self and our outdated identity and the unsuccessful cycles that we just keep hammering away at. This chimp is not embarrassed about changing his mind. Why should we be embarrassed about changing our minds? Our flexibility might just be the survival tactic that is needed in today's world. Imagine that. Imagine if all it took for us to head in the right direction would be just to be flexible and to shift just a little bit, just to change our mind. Life is not about proving that we were right yesterday. It's about being alive today. Welcome to the new world. If you enjoyed this episode, I think you might like that one too. This is Ellie Dreams and Under. I love knowing you're here, and I'll see you in my dreams. Bye.